Reverend Rick Daniels.
Howdy. Is this okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
You hear me okay? You sure? You're lying to me now. All right. So it's 1978, Reverend Lacey. That's when I got here. You think I know better by now, right? So, Reverend Sue must have known what I was going to talk about because she was the awesome seguer at the beginning, the opening concepts on what I want to discuss, and that is actually the I am. How many of you have a cell phone? Okay, you ever use the text portion of it? Is it right for you when you miss a word? It's like autocorrect itself and put the wrong word in for you?
Yeah.
Does that drive you crazy? And then you send it like, what? You know your brain is doing the exact same thing almost all the time. You want to say something, but something comes out of your mouth that wasn't quite positive. That's what Reverend Sue was just saying, right? Why is that? So we know why the cell phone does it. It's trying to help, right? It wants to help you so you can go faster, get on with your life, get off the road. Don't text on the road. It's not good for you, right? But that autocorrect feature is code. It's there to try and help you finish your sentences so you can type more, right? Or whatever. Well, your brain's kind of trying to do the same thing for us. And that's why things come out of our face that we didn't necessarily mean but was there. It's part of our code.
Wow.
And that's what we call consciousness. There's this thing you hear in Science of Mind called consciousness. It's a fundamental belief as to who and what we think we are. And so probably 95, 98, 99.99% of our reaction and our response to the world is automatic. It's already going to happen. When Reverend Sue talked about this, the journey's been taken when the first step is encountered, that's because consciousness already has pretty much predetermined how you are going to move through and approach whatever is before you. Because we're mostly unconscious. We're mostly asleep to what's actually happening. And the key to our success in this experience, the key to our success in Science of Mind is to wake up, to become aware, to become receptive and open to the world around us in the moment. Most of what we do is automatic pilot based on memory, based on things within our brain, and based on feelings that surround these memories. That's the autocorrect function of your brain. So just saying I'm a positive person probably isn't going to affect the code that's already in place. Like typing I love life on your computer screen is not going to do anything to the code that allows you to type I love life on the screen. It gives you the opportunity to type it, but the code below it is what actually generates the image on the screen so you can see that. Make sense? So what is it that we really need to do when we're looking at changing our experience? Is it changing the screen? What is it? Changing the code. And that's what we learn in Science of Mind. First we learn to understand what actually is going on, that there actually is a code. That there's something happening within us, and it's called our consciousness. Our consciousness is the code that the infinite nature of the universe is using to flow through us into us. And it reflects back to us what's in our code. It's pretty simple. What's happening in your mind? Look at your life. It's a perfect screen of what's being typed below the surface. Okay? So autofill is a pretty amazing thing. Next time you do that autofill thing, it types the word for you, say, this is going to be a key for you because it's going to remind you of this moment in time when I brought this to your awareness. So if you have a cell phone and if you text, you will never forget me. That's called marketing. That's battling for your mind so that something I do will be connected to something that's already in your brain. How about that? Okay, that's what McDonald's Golden Arches are about. Is you're so conditioned to understand what that means that you can't not help it. But you can. That's the trick. You can. Because everywhere you go, no matter where you go, everywhere you go, there you are. How's this? There's a term I used to say. There's nowhere you need to go and nothing you need to do to be what you already are, whole, perfect, and complete. Does your life look like that? Whole, perfect, and complete? Not always, right? That's because consciousness is the form that the universe is using to express. And so if there's some experience in our life that's not quite up to what we hoped for, well, the code's running. And we want to change that. So we do all kinds of things in our experience to try and change our experience of our experience. But actually, all we really need to do is become aware of the moment. The present moment has everything we need. So the question I have for you right now is, would you rather talk about God or experience it?
Experience.
Okay. Would you rather experience life and love or talk about it?
Experience.
Okay, and what is experience? Here's a hard one. Okay, can't answer that really easy. Experience is our response to our world reflecting itself back to us based on our code.
Wow.
What does that mean? It means it doesn't matter what's happening in your world. It matters what's happening in your code. So how do we change the code? Begin to realize that you're not the code. You are not the code of your consciousness. In our third year class, I kind of came up with a concept that allowed our students in that class to begin to grasp the concept that I am not the code that my life is represented by. I am not my consciousness. I'm something beyond that consciousness. And I said, okay, so we have a body that we're living in. We have to work and operate within the confines of this reality as it presents itself. There's nothing wrong with that. And we have a localized self that represents the I am, the Rick, the ego, the whole thing that shows up before you that makes it look like I'm here and you're there. That's the localized you, the individualized expression of you. We also understand in the science of mind that there's a universal us that is one with all. Would you rather talk about being one with all or experience it?
Experience.
Well, how do you do that? We're already doing it.
Yep.
You're not one with the all. You're not immersed in spirit all the time. You can't not be expression of God, whole, perfect, and complete already. You can't not go someplace that doesn't exist. It is already who and what we are. Everywhere we go, it's already who and what we are. But for the code that's trying to autocorrect everything we're typing, the autocorrect is saying, yes, but, Rick, my life, this, da-da-da-da, the whole story is saying something contrary to that. Well, okay, that's fine. That's because we've all been hypnotized by the code. We are so fascinated with our devices. Our little iPads and computer screens and televisions and movie screens and whatever you got. We're so fascinated by this technology that we think that the technology becomes more important than what's in the technology or who's driving the technology. We are so fascinated with the story of our own life, we're distracted by it. We don't want to be something than what we are and how we show up. If we did, we would be something else. Because the code is running, and the code's job is to keep you going straight ahead, forward, and surviving in this experience. The code is designed to survive you here, not make you something wonderful or make you even aware of what you already are. The code has a purpose. It's thinking and feeling. The aspect of the brain is a tool, and its job is to help you survive in this experience. And if you got here this far, then it's done a good job of keeping you alive, but may not have done such a good job of getting you to your dreams and your desires. Well, maybe it has. I don't know. That's an assumption that I don't really want to make. But I look at my own life and say, well, I'm not where I really want to be. I like where I'm at, but there's some things in my experience that haven't kind of unfolded the way I anticipated when I came here in 1978. And I worked hard, too. I'm working hard on this. Where's that thing at? Why hasn't this unfolded? So I had to get real with the whole thing. So here's how you change the code. First of all, recognize that you don't have to change the code. You don't have to change the code, all right? Because the code is going to be displaced by whatever you put in its place. So it's an effortless process. But for your mind, it's going to say that's not true, it's hard. But it isn't hard, it's effortless. Changing the code of your being is effortless because what you already are is irrelevant of the code, irrelevant of your consciousness. Your consciousness is the localized you. What you need to do is spend more time in the universal you. It's that simple. Less time dealing with the localized you, this, that, the other thing, and labeling yourself and identifying yourself and having positive and negative thoughts. The whole program, the whole thinking process is a distraction to the universal you because there is no thought. There's no thinking in thought. There's no thinking in God. It doesn't think, it already is. Everything it could be already is. So there's no thinking and contemplating and wondering and perceiving and questioning and identifying in God. It already is. It's completely given and delivered. But so thinking and thought are not necessarily the same thing. We spend less time thinking and more time in actual thought, which is a contemplation of our own being devoid of memory, where we're not thinking about who and what we are, but just that we are. Spend more time in thought, which has no words, has no feelings, has no memories, just is the infinite present moment, and less time in thinking. Are you following me so far?
Yes.
Okay, so how do we go from this to this? We are conditioned to think, to contemplate, to work it out, to write it down, to make journals, to make lists, to have plans, to decide, to choose, to experience, to be human beings. We're really good at that. That's kind of not why we're here, really. We're here for a greater realization. I'm going to make a huge assumption. Most of you here would rather have a greater experience of God than your own experience, right? Here's the deal. Your experience of God and your own experience is the exact same thing, but for the autocorrect thing. Autocorrect's going, you're going, I am one with God, and autocorrect says, I'm one with cars. I'm one with food. I'm one with too much food. I'm one with not enough, whatever it is. I'm one with God. Autocorrect, no, you're one with this room. You're one with your own being, your own thoughts, your own upsetness, your own hurt toe. Okay, but we want to move from that to thought. Here's how you do it. Then I will conclude. So I don't have much to say usually, but what I have to say is pretty important. So I want you to think about this. Actually, I don't want you to think about it at all. I want you to just thought through this. I'm still learning too. Okay. Just first thing, whatever's going on in your experience, like right now, the first thing we do is we want to stop. Just stop. You know how to stop? You see a big red sign on the street that says stop. You know what to do. See a red light comes on the traffic signal. You know what to do. You just stop. So it's really difficult to do sometimes when you're kind of in an upset sort of frame of mind, but that's the best time. It's just stop. And ask yourself this question. Who am I? Local or universal? Who am I? Now, without going into memory, which means don't try and answer the question. You stop, you ask yourself, who am I? But don't try and answer the question, because that's thinking. Stop, who am I? And then listen. Listen. Just see what comes up. Some answer is going to come up. Some autocorrect thing is going to come up. It's just going to happen. Whatever comes up, your job is to let it go. This is what the key is to what Reverend Sue was saying was we need to release. We spend so much time hanging on. The truth of our being is not about what we have to gather, but we have to let go of, because we already are whole, perfect, and complete. There's nowhere we need to go and nothing we need to do to be what we already are. It's already been given. But for the autocorrect, the code, everything is saying that we're not that true. That's not what we are, but it is. So, but for thinking, we are already the thought. So I want you to learn how to be in the thought. And you stop. Your brain wants something to do because it won't stop for very long. It's going to start throwing stuff in there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're getting distracted from my reality, which is thinking. You say stop, and then give it something to do. Who am I? The brain say, I can do that. And it's going to start cranking stuff out. And whatever comes up in your mind first, the key to entering into thought is to let go of whatever was presented to you, because that was thinking. Now we want to give the brain something to do. We want to have it, we want it to be engaged, because it won't let you not let it be engaged. That's its nature in the localized self. Over time, you will begin to take control of your brain's automatic control of you, and you won't be using autocorrect that much anymore, because you're going to be flowing with the code behind the autocorrect. I'm using like these terms because everybody can relate to that. Instead of higher states of consciousness and energy patterns and cosmic energy and quantum blah, 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 blah. No, we all got a text. We all got a cell phone. We know what autocorrect does. We know how it screws up our message. Right? So stop. Ask yourself, who am I? Whatever comes into your mind, let it go. So how do you let it go? I mean, that's the key. How do you let it go? And the best way to let it go is to let it just be there. Don't start engaging with the idea itself. Who am I? I'm a car mechanic. Not anymore. There was an answer. There was something came up into my mind just then. That's what came into my mind. My brain presented some information. I'm a car mechanic. So rather than start working on that concept, I say, I accept that idea. You welcome the idea. You say, oh, interesting idea. So rather than engaging with the thought, you simply let it be there. Who am I? Ask again, who am I? Another thought comes into mind. You just keep asking, who am I? And pretty soon as you learn, and I've got this little helper thing. If you guys are interested in this, got a whole series of questions you can ask yourself. When an idea comes into mind, you can say, could I allow myself to welcome this? Could I welcome all thoughts, feelings, memories, conversations, and decisions tied to this? Can I look at this whole thing and just say, let it be there? So and some of you in this room know kind of the technology I'm talking about related to this letting go thing. I'm more than happy to share it with you. I have more of these cards if you want to see it. But the key is to not to engage with whatever the thought is, but to let it be there. And then affirm after that, all I have to say, I am more than any answer I can perceive. Stop. Who am I? Without going into memory, see what pops up for you. Allow it to be there, and then affirm, I am more than any answer I can perceive. By doing that, those 5 little things, your brain is going to lose track of reality. It can't engage with non-resistance. It can't engage with you're totally accepting whatever idea it presents. And by acknowledging that you're more than just those thoughts, it begins to disengage you. As you begin to feel the disengagement of your brain, by not going into memory, by not going into feeling, you begin to feel this spaciousness. This place where thought ceases, and all you can perceive is your own presence. That's thought. Let it be your way.